You're a bit of a villain though, aren't you? In the industry.
Maybe.
Why would I say that? What am I referring to?
I'm not sure. There's so many things that come to mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dubai. Do you want to hear something unbelievable?
Try me.
I've never met this man before. This is Ming Thein.
Nice to meet you. You're Max Busser, right?
Yes, I am.
There we go. I knew I've seen you somewhere.
AM&F, Andrew McCutcheon and friends. Now this is Ming Thein from Ming Watches. So, if you'll allow me, we're going to get to know Ming. We're going to get to know Ming Watches. I'm going to ask all the unasked questions and hopefully previously unanswered questions.
Okay.
And I want to do it here in Dubai, but you've brought a little box here and I'd love you to use what's in here to answer my questions as well.
All right. I brought the latest stuff, the more interesting stuff. So we just launched the Odyssey Titanium 2 GMT diver on Polymesh. We'll talk about Polymesh in a bit. This is the thing that's not a strap, not a bracelet.
I haven't felt this, I haven't touched this. Are you from Melbourne?
I'm from Melbourne. Which part of Melbourne?
Oh, now we're getting detailed. Well, I went to school in Caulfield. I grew up in...
Mortal enemies.
Where are you from?
Ivanhoe.
Ooh, Ivanhoe.
Mortal enemies, right? Like
the fancier, more expensive, the greener part. So yeah, we have many reasons that we should have met, but we haven't.
Yep.
And I've never touched any of these watches.
Okay. Well, today's your lucky day.
Yep.
So Odyssey on Polymesh, we have the Series 521 Argent Hall chronograph. We have the Iris with color shifting dial and our new design language, and there may be some things I'll show you off camera.
Okay, great.
Cool. That's basically where we are.
Well, there's a long way to go, but I want to jump in at a very basic level, because if someone's watching this now, they're probably thinking, Ming Watches, I know that name and I know that design, and I want to ask you this question. Your designs are instantly recognizable, but also somehow polarizing. Which part of your design language are you not prepared to compromise on?
Can I say all of it?
Okay. Yes, you can.
Because here's something we realized early on. If you try to design to a brief for somebody, unless that person or that target audience is one very specific person, you'll never make everybody happy.
True.
So we design to a brief, we design to an audience, but that audience is us. At a very egotistical and selfish level, we make shit we like.
Yeah.
And I would rather make a decision which I go, I can defend that, this line is here, this case is the way it's done, it's the way it is, you know, these screws are where they are, these finishes and textures are the way they are because this is what we think is an integral, holistic, coherent design, as opposed to, this is what I think a diver customer wants. So that is why I say I'm not going to compromise on any of it.
Okay.
I'm not going to compromise on anything that impacts the function or the conceptual integrity, right? Let's call it conceptual integrity.
Good answer, Ming. Let's go back a step, and I want to hear it from you in your words. What is that recognizable Mingness that somehow, in a world of watches that look faintly similar to yours, is just totally identifiably yours? Can we pick up a watch and break it down for me? What is the Ming design code?
I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to answer that by way of a story. So the other reason we have these watches here today is because you're actually seeing three different design languages, right? Okay. The first design language is done and deprecated, and I don't consider that a design language in the sense that we were trying to figure out what the hell we were doing. Yeah. The second design language, we got more ornate, we got more detailed, so you've got flying lugs, you've got a lot of different finishes, you've got setbacks to try and camouflage the size a little bit in this case because it's an Argent Hall movement, it's large. But functionally, we started with stuff that we could wear, right? And myself, my co-founders, we're Asian, we don't have big wrists. And reality is we've got to make something.
Pretty big watch though.
It's a 41.5. That last 0.5 millimeter I fought for.
Yeah.
But the interlock distance and the pivot point of the strap is quite close together. And then we hide all of the thickness in these brakes. So there are 14 textural brakes vertically. So it's a lot thinner and smaller than it looks, and it wears smaller.
I see what you mean.
But it still looks fine on you, and your wrist is significantly larger than mine.
Only 7? What are you?
6.5.
Okay, so you can't, you don't want to be too reductive.
All right. So in determining that the size and the lug to lug needs to be short, it means short lugs, but then we need to have visual mass to balance out the length of the lugs. So you can't have these little pointy tapered things. That's where the flare came in.
Yeah.
So now the flare has a function. The function of the flare is to visually balance the mass of everything else. if you try this guy on, you'll find that visually it looks about the same.
Yeah.
And that's the Polymesh, by the way.
Okay.
So
I'm going to try to give you guys like an AMSR like a verbal description. Oh my God. If I made chainmail in the modern day for like some sort of modern medieval battle, I could only dream of something as silky as this because it's cool.
it's chainmail lingerie. It's not chainmail. Chainmail would be rougher,
It's
harder.
chainmail lingerie.
It's chainmail lingerie.
I was getting there, Ming. But this is something else. And yet it feels structurally very robust. It doesn't actually feel flimsy and slight.
Do you know what the brake
despite-
strength is?
What?
Do you want to know what the brake strength is? Guess.
What is a brake strength?
So if you do it up
Yeah.
and you yank it
Yeah.
until it comes apart,
Okay.
how much force do I need to exert
How
before
many
it breaks?
newtons?
Newtons is a good measure, or kilos. Kilos for the audience. Let's do kilos. Newtons divide by 9.8. So
I don't even have a reference for what a strong would be in kilograms. Like 20 kilos, 30 kilos,
this will take 1,000 newtons,
which is
100 kilos.
100 kilos. Good Lord.
But
Should I try?
But you know what broke?
What?
The spring bar.
Of course
So
it did.
I don't
It
know.
bent.
I don't know what the yield strength of the bracelet is. It's north of 100 kilos. That's
Yeah.
basically.
I have this question about trends, right?
Yep.
Is this practical to not chase trends, or is it actually a principle?
If you're trying to chase something that's already happened,
Yeah.
by the time you've done it, it's too late. And you know, the irony, I was telling you this
so
earlier.
well said.
We're in the industry that makes watches which tell the time.
Yeah.
Has anything ever been on time in the Swiss industry?
Yeah.
Ever?
No.
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 So if we
apart from maybe the watches, the only thing on time might be. It depends.
yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
You know, there's relative accuracy and things like even if we try to do something now and we say, okay, it's going to be ready 2 years from now,
Yeah.
it's going to be ready like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reality. So I think I see my job as basically trying to imagine stuff that you might want 3 years from now,
Yeah.
not what you want now.
It is the Henry Ford thing, isn't it? It's like if you ask people what
No,
they
that was
would
like
have
every
wanted.
color only except black. It's
Yes.
like you could have every color so long as it was black.
Yeah. No, his other one is if you ask people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses.
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas you had a car sitting there and people didn't know. You're a bit of a villain though, aren't you? In the industry.
Maybe.
Why would I say that? And what am I referring to?
I'm not sure. There's so many things that come to mind.
I just want to sit back and enjoy the ride here.
Specifically, I have no idea. I mean, I think we're a little bit disruptive for sure.
It is the transparency around pricing.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone loves that until they don't.
Yeah.
Whoa!
It was excited about the Polymesh.
There is a Vegas-style water ejaculation happening behind us. Let's get on to more villain stuff. Now, what is the most misunderstood thing about your pricing? Because this has come up. You've been very transparent about it. People loved it till they didn't. What is the most misunderstood thing about Ming pricing?
I think it's the difference between price and value. There is a difference between price and value. So if somebody said legitimately free and clear, you could buy the Mona Lisa for $10 million, that would be a great deal. It's a lot of money. It's a high price, but it's great value.
Yeah.
Right? But if somebody said, you know, I'll sell you a fake painting for $100, it's not a lot of money, but there's no value. So I think there's this lack of separation from people looking outside going, you started off making watches at this price, you make watches at this price, how do you justify
Where
that?
was this price and where are we now?
So this price was $900.
There we go.
Before we knew anything about running a watch business, before we knew anything about quality control, before we knew that we basically threw away 3/4 of our components and remade everything.
Yeah.
So the actual cost price for the first 1701s we made was $1,300.
I'm no mathematician, but that sounds fishy. It
Yeah.
sounds like maybe you're not going to come out ahead on that.
No, we didn't. We absolutely didn't. And the reality is we had to increase prices to make sense.
Yeah.
You know, to run a sustainable business of the kind where, you know, you buy a watch from us today, we're going to have spares from it 10 years in the future, we're going to be able to support it. And, you know, by the way, we have 80 plus references at this point. You know, we're into year 8. By the time we hit year 10, we're going to launch reference number 100 for our 10th anniversary.
Where is the pricing now? What are these 3 watches?
Okay. The Odyssey on Polymesh is actually entry level. It's 6,250 Swiss francs.
Yep.
The Iris is also around the same price at 6 plus. We wanted to make something a little bit more accessible, so we've done a lot of chronographs because I like interactive complications. I like our monopushers, but to bring something down to a price where it makes sense and we can make it accessible to a wider audience, that's this guy. Mm-hmm. And then at the pointy end, we have the Argent Graph. This is, I want to say 37.5. You're now putting me on the spot because I really don't do the pricing. But it's 30 plus to 40.
Yeah.
So we span an entry from about 3K up to 40-ish.
Yeah.
Right? There will be stuff beyond that at both ends.
Yeah.
But I think this is a comfortable range for people to, you know, get something really good and then grow with the brand.
This gives me an excuse for another great quote. If you live long enough as the hero, you become the villain. And as a brand, you definitely lived long enough
We've become
to
the villain.
charge 6 to 30 times more than your first model. Where is the industry bullshitting people on price still and value? Where are they bullshitting people on value? Because you understand where the value is. Are there any sort of regular cliches or tropes that are trotted out around value where you just go, that is such BS?
If anybody tries to be disingenuous about the origin of the movement,
okay.
there's a lot of that.
This old chestnut.
Right? There's a lot of that. And I think it is perfectly possible to take to take a cheap movement and make it expensive because of the work required to be done, right? But at the same time, it's possible to take a cheap movement, leave it cheap, and then say it's expensive. That I find disingenuous. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of examples of really good watches being based off fairly cheap movements. But by the time you start hand finishing anything, it doesn't matter what the movement is because it's the same amount of man-hours, the same expertise required to go and anglage those plates and bridges and finish those spokes or whatever the case may be. So I want to say if there are claims being made around origin of things in general, maybe not just the movement, but around origin of things, I think that's kind of important.
Okay. That's a good one, and that is truly a disingenuous one. And it persists, but it seems like the literacy in general has gone up to a point where people are getting caught on that left, right, and center, and it happens probably a little bit less.
It's not a bad thing. I think it's not a bad thing because it's like the whole question around discounting, and I'm taking this in a very different route, right?
Yeah.
We are also unpopular for not discounting.
This could be a series.
Yeah.
Well, the 10 things we're unpopular for.
Not discounting.
Yeah.
But if I give you a discount and you go to sell it later, you're going to sell it for less than you paid. You're like, okay, I'll accept this price, you know?
Yeah.
And then the next guy is going to be, well, he paid that, and I want less, and I want less. And before you know, it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you destroy your brand equity. It's actually bad for the customer because at the end of the day, they don't know what they're getting back. And as opposed to me saying, look, we made 100 of these guys at this price, and they were all this price.
Yeah.
Plus minus local taxes, tariffs, whatever, and that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are consistent in the sense that everybody knows what the price was. Everybody knows what was paid. You know, everybody knows that if you buy something of this price from us, you get this much watch.
Yeah.
And I think from the point of view of the stuff that we make now and the stuff that's going to be made, what you're seeing now is what I was working on 3 years ago.
Right.
Right.
So today we should talk about the stuff that you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, let's just have it all out there.
Okay.
Bring us up to speed.
Okay, Polymesh was the first one. So this is contrary to everything else we do. It was not a long development process. It was an intense development process.
Yeah.
And unusually for this industry, from the time I started to the time we had the first prototype, 3 months.
Wow.
Because we shortcut a lot of it. This is actually geometry number 7 or 8. I lose count. So how these polygons interact and how they interlock controls how the thing moves and how it feels, right? Yeah. And whether it's printable or not, of course. So we went through 7 or 8 different iterations of this. We printed everything at like 5 times scale, 6 times scale internally, and it was basically I was working, it was printing. I was working, it was printing. We had 2 printers in parallel, and I think now we're up to 4 because we were just running so many things in parallel. It was an interesting development exercise just to see whether we could run R&D that way, and I kind of like it. It's exciting, right?
Yeah.
And to see something that fast go from here's a crazy idea to here's a product, you know.
What's not to like?
Yeah.
The disco beat us. We just quit.
And we're too old for that shit.
We're too old for that shit.
We're too old for that shit. That's what it means. I know. Every time we go to a supplier, we go, I have an idea.
Yeah.
They're like, oh shit, no.
He's back.
Not again.
Not again. But see, the villain thread is something that is always present in greatness, because greatness is uncompromising. Greatness doesn't care what you think. Just do what I say. Because ultimately, we don't design by committee. You design through
That was
boldness.
my line.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Design
sure,
is not
I'm
by
pretty sure
committee.
neither of us
I
own
don't
that
design
one.
by committee.
I do want to ask you something though, because I just went to Time Zones in Dubai.
Yep.
I feel like I've been on the world's most endless watch fair. And
Pretty much.
we are peaking, we are booming. This is unsustainable. Do you think this indie boom, this small indie boom where is it going?
Okay, you have to remember again that things take longer to come to fruition than normal.
Yes.
So, a lot of this stuff was started at peak COVID hype when people said, there is demand for this stuff, let's get into the market. I suspect.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you could go, I want to start a watch brand today and I'm going to have a product and production everything tomorrow, right? So I think what we're seeing now, a lot of it is the fruit of stuff that was laid 2 to 3 years ago. I've mixed up my metaphors, but eggs that were laid 2 or 3 years ago. How many of these will survive? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of brands that will make the first one sells out because people want something different. Second one, third one, like, oh, we've kind of run out of ideas. Then where do you go?
Yeah.
You know, a fourth one, we're going to do another dial color. A fifth one, we haven't sold the fourth one.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I think you need to, for anybody who's going to start a brand, you need to think about what's the roadmap,
Yeah.
right? We do product planning at this point. 5th generation is complete. That's not 1 or 2 models. It's an entire family, right? It's 5 years worth of product at the rate we release it.
Yeah.
So we do 10 launches a year, give or take. It's 5 years worth of product at 10 launches a year. I'm working on 6th generation now
Okay.
because that's how we have to work.
So let me close on this then, Ming. People look at your business from the outside, and people do this to me at Time+Tide, and they say, I bet this is hard for you. And I always think, you actually don't know what my biggest challenge is. That's interesting.
It's not what we think it is.
What is the biggest challenge for you? It's the sustainability of your drive as well,
Yep.
not just of the commercial
Yep.
business model.
Yep.
What is the biggest challenge that you face for Ming?
It's actually that. You just hit it.
Did I?
Yeah, you just hit it. It's actually that, because when we brought everything back internally, as in I do all the design and engineering work, right? Which means that if I'm here, I'm not making watches, I'm not solving engineering problems, I'm not solving production problems, I'm not validating spec sheets. So I can't be in many places at once. And this is why, of late, I'm not going to events, because I can't, you know? I'm out for a week, and then you go back, you're jet lagged, and you got to work through everything else, and that's like, that's the toughest thing, you know? I think the handover
You need
to
to
find...
3D print another Ming. 10.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're working on that.
I feel like people got to know you a little better today. I got to know you from scratch. Thank you for being so honest.
Not at all. It's been a pleasure.
You have
Thank
that reputation. We're both Aussies, so we just get straight in there. What do you think of Ming and the journey it's been on? Because in many ways, it had the dream immediately, which is a recognizable product. But it's had many twists and turns since, and you've lived long enough to be the hero and the villain. You're the hero again. Everyone loves this bracelet.
I hope so.
So may we keep cycling through.
Thank you.
Tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching Time+Tide. Thanks, Ming.
Thanks, guys.
Good stuff, man.
Thank you.